Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
In 1966, Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad made his historic visit to Cape Town, South Africa.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.
The coming of Sheikh Abdulbasit, rahmatullahi alayhi, Abdelbaset Abdulsamad was obviously one of the great Qurra of his time and was considered to be by many to be the number one in the world.
Before his arrival here, I heard a record of him and I was just mesmerized, with his recitation being much different from the recitation of our Cape Townian styles.
1966, I was just a little toddler, 6 years old. Couldn't read actually, but after the coming of Sheikh Abdulbasit, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given this ni'mah for me to start reading Quran.
Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad was invited to South Africa by the Transvaal Muslim Coordinating Council for the grand opening of the Bosman Masjid. He was hosted by Mr. Hamid Chotia.
Firstly, he was brought by some business people from Johannesburg. When it came to the Cape Town sector, they gave this responsibility of organizing all the different places where Sheikh Abdulbasit recited to the Muslim Judicial Council.
Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad's first recitation was at the Kayapini Street Mosque, followed by a recitation at Muir Street Mosque, and then the grand finale, a mesmerizing recitation in front of a packed crowd of more than 30,000 people at the Greenpoint track.
So the first night he recited in Cape Town was at Kapini Street, Sheikh Ahmad Bihadin's masjid in Bukab. And the second night he recited was by masjid of Mew Street. And the third was at the stadium in Cape Town, alhamdulillah, attended by more than 30,000, 40,000 people, alhamdulillah.
His heavenly voice echoed through the stadium, penetrating the hearts of the listeners and leaving a long-lasting impact on Cape Town and South Africa at large.
I can still remember as a small little boy sitting on the shoulders of my brother to see where Sheikh Abdulbasit was sitting. He was sitting in the middle of the field in a small, shaded area, which I can still remember. Part of the track where the people were sitting on actually collapsed of the zahma and the echoing of the people to the recital of Sheikh Abdulbasit.
قال قائل منهم لا تقتلوا يوسف وألقوه في غيابة الجب وألقوه في غيابة الجب يلتقطه بعض السيارة إن كنتم فاعلين.
Sheikh Abdulbasit, a voice that will never return, a voice that is unique, a voice that has inspired not millions, billions of people throughout the world. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, Sheikh Abdulbasit Muhammad Abdulsamad Salim, Allah yarhamuh, was really a beacon of light. And throughout our lives, Alhamdulillah, we were constantly mesmerized and captured by the recitation of Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad. My father said to me, listen to this, and he went to fetch a cassette from my uncle. And ever since, we listened to the first portion of Surah Yusuf and Qisar al-Suwar, short surah. I think that the recitation instantly captured me.
Person like him obviously comes with a lot of goodwill and comes with a message, strong message, alhamdulillah. With the result, alhamdulillah, it was like a revival of the Muslim community, alhamdulillah, with the Muslims from all walks of life, from the poorest to the richest, to the most knowledgeable, to the ordinary man in the street. They all came and they wanted to see the Sheikh recite, not only listen, they wanted to be in his presence and see him recite. And everybody was so pleased, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, of having him here amongst us.
His sons, Tariq Abdulbasit, Yasir Abdulbasit, that I had a very close connection with, they would say any interview their father had anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world, and that is what Sheikh Ahmad Ruzaiqi also told me. Sheikh Abdulbasit will never, ever, ever forget to mention not South Africa, but Cape Town. He had a great, great, great love for Cape Town.
You know, he had such a great impact on the people here. In fact, all the Qurra of Cape Town, was just, mashallah, very, very, very excited with his way of recitation. And since that time, I can remember, when I was a young boy, being one of the students of Darul Ilm, they called me because Sheikh Abdulbasit came to recite at this institution known as the Darul Ilm. And being one of the students there, they called me up. Sheikh Yusuf Khabir called me, and I was a young man. You know, there's still, up till today, there's still some photos that can, bears testimony to that. So I was reciting some, few ayat of the Quran, and Sheikh Abdulbasit himself was very, very impressed with that, because I tried to recite a little bit, in my humble way, to recite Masri style. And he was very, very, excited also, and he said, MashaAllah, this boy has got potential. And there it started. My journey of Quran started there.
And if you listen to his recitation, especially the Mujawwad style of recitation, one is able to adapt or able to listen, and you can sort of figure out the rules that's being applied to each verse and to each ayah. And that was created a massive impact on my recitation, because I used to listen to that daily.
I think that is also, where I started to try and change a little bit of our Cape Townian style in my own personal, recitation. We've been always reciting the Sana'ani style, which comes from Yemen. And the Mashayikh, the Sheikh who taught my Ustad again was Sheikh Abdulmalik. These are the very pioneers, many, many years. We're talking here about 60, 70 years ago, when they set foot here in Cape Town. They were reciting only that style of recitation, because the majority of our ulama were studying in Mecca that time, and they came with the lagu from Mecca, the Hijazi style and the Sana'ani style. Alhamdulillah. But when Sheikh Abdulbasit came here, things started to change. Exactly so, Alhamdulillah. And that is where the era of, Sheikh Abdulbasit started. And Alhamdulillah, many of the young Huffaz tried to imitate.
Generations for decades, we see a young generation like Qari Ismail Davids, who is one of those who were inspired by Sheikh Abdulbasit.
When I was younger, my parents always used to have the CD of Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad in their cars, and that was the only Qari that I used to listen to all the time, and that was the only thing that used to play in the car. So afterwards I tried starting to read with him and whatever, and when my parents went on Hajj, I started reading out on my own, and then after that I just started listening every day, and alhamdulillah, that's how it started.
The style of Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad, for me personally, it just took me in a different direction. In our day and age, you could have been anything with your voice, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used him to inspire me to use my voice for the Quran. And ever since, that affinity has been there. As youngsters, we slept, we woke up, we walked, we drove, whatever we were doing, Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad was in the background, listening, and then finally trying to read at his style. I remember at the age of 9, I recited at a function for Shukrul Mubin, and that was in the style of Sheikh Abdulbasit for both radio stations at their launches. I recited And that was also in the manner of Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad.
Everyone followed Sheikh Abdulbasit, wherever he went. Many of the mashayikh, many of the huffaz followed Sheikh Abdulbasit. And since that time, our newly huffaz always tried to imitate Sheikh Abdulbasit. And of course, as the prominent the Rahman Sa'adin, he was the one who, mashallah, made it to the top to imitate the Sheikh Abdulbasit, alhamdulillah, to the highest level.
As a young man, for an example, names. There is Sheikh Abu Bakr Abdul Rauf, there's Sheikh Hanif Moos, there's Imam Abdul Rahman Sali. These were people, and even more than that. But the names that comes up now easily, these were my people, they were my idols as a young man. And which I always thought, Ya Allah, make me like these people. These are great people. But up till today, which is much more important of what I said now, up till today, they are still my heroes. I still have the greatest of respect for them. Whether I have traveled 1,000,000 times more than what they have traveled, or recitals, or whatever it is, but my respect for them is still the greatest of respect. And I suppose that respect will linger with me until I'm not going to be there anymore.
Even in Egypt, when Sheikh Abdul Rahman Sa'adin was there, people were very, very impressed. In fact, when you close the doors and you don't see the Qari, you'll think it is Sheikh Abdulbasit reciting. And also not forgetting our honorable Sheikh standing in front of me here, questioning me, Sheikh Munir also, who's got this very style of recitation similar to the Sheikh Abdulbasit.
Alhamdulillah, my father was, Dr. Shahid, was in Medina University and Al-Qura University. My brother was, Sheikh Samir, was in Al-Qura University. And obviously it was a desire of my father to send me away to Makkah. And Alhamdulillah, I've had the honor of being born in Makkah while they were studying there. And obviously to go and study further and keep on that legacy of Makkah University. But I stood in my salah and I said, Allah, I want to be in Balad Abdelbaset Abdulsamad, the land of Abdelbaset Abdulsamad, the land where where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the Quran will be read beautifully, it will be beautified in Egypt.
It was his voice. It was if you look on YouTube, if you see how all the people speaks about him, the good they talk about him, the kind of person he was, everything like that.
I would think Sheikh Abdulbasit, the comes of Sheikh Abdulbasit was the explosion of Qira'ah, which even if I could remember that when Sheikh Abdulbasit actually read in the different styles and modes of riwayat, that there would be, even of our great Huffaz at the time, that was, they lifted their eyebrows. What is this guy doing? Because we did not know about these different types of qira'at, So, yes, Sheikh Abdulbasit, Allah Rahamu, he had a very, very great impact on Cape Town, South Africa, and the worldwide.
And Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad, I think, just captured me, even though I never saw him. I only saw him on video much later after we started loving him. I think 4 or 5 years after we were listening to him on CDs, cassettes, and my father was in Makkah that time, and he used to send us constantly different CDs, every single collection of Abdelbaset we had, alhamdulillah. And that inspired me also to then go and study in Egypt, to meet the family of Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad. And once being there, learning the character of this man, subhanallah.
Quran is the most wonderful issue in the world for the Muslims. It is the only book that can be said is 100% the way it was revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Recite as much as possible. And if you recite the Quran as much as possible, Allah Ta'ala will help you and you will get the barakah of the love of the Quran, and the Quran will creep into your heart. And if that happens to you, alhamdulillah, there is no greater ni'mah from Allah Ta'ala than exchanging love with the Holy Quran. But read as much as possible.
فالقرآن ينفعك ويرفعك. The Quran will benefit you and will elevate you. And subhanallah is the most elevated Qari of our era. I'm speaking about the time of television and radio and sound bites moving through the world. And with that, Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad, many people became Muslim just listening to the Quran.
Yes, to me, Sheikh Abdulbasit is the most beautiful voice. To me, in Qira'ah, there will not be and there have not been better than him. As we call him, the voice of heaven. And that was the impact that he had on the hearts of people all over the whole world.
Sheikh Abdulbasit Abdulsamad waves goodbye to a crowd at the DF Malan airport. Little did he know, the community of Cape Town has never and will never say goodbye. Because until today, his voice echoes through the homes and hearts of millions of South Africans.